Hello, and welcome to another Rouge unit of the week. And today we're taking a look at the Hummel, available to a lot of German divisions. So by 1942, the Germans realised, well, we have all these mobile forces, but some mobile artillery, some self-propelled guns would be absolutely lovely. And so they ended up developing some self-propelled guns. One of them would be the Resp, but it needs something a little bit more heavier, with a bit more oomph. And so they designed the Hummel. They essentially got a 150mm field howitzer and put it on a chassis of a Dragon 3-4. Now it's rather interesting because this Dragon chassis is essentially a Panzer IV in terms of lock, suspension and engine, but it has the Panzer III's driving and steering system, so it's a bit of a mix between both to, you know, save time by using some older Panzer III parts, because this is just a self-propelled artillery gun. You don't really need that much in terms of fancy driving equipment. It may end up making over 700 vehicles, and they'd see service on the east and western front. And they were pretty effective. I mean, it's a giant field howitzer on a self-propelled unit, is very useful. What wasn't useful though is that it could only carry a limited amount of ammunition, and so they ended up making pretty much dedicated munition carriers, which was essentially a Hummel but without the gun, and instead carried a bunch of high explosive shells. In game, the Hummel is a 180-point self-propelled artillery gun, available to Trophes S, 116th Panzer Lehr, 9th Panzer, 2nd Panzer, and Fäustung Paris Division. Mainly in C phase, but Paris Division can get run in B phase, and it has one weapon. So we got the big 150mm howitzer. It has 3 rate of fire, 27 HE with 18 rounds, 2.8 kilometers range, and 51-meter ARE. It does lots of damage. That's really the best way to put it. Big booms from this gun. Yeah, it's pretty decent range and good ARE, so even if you don't get a direct hit on the target, you can still do quite a bit of damage. Pop down to Miscellanea stats. It's got 2 armor all around, and it is an open top vehicle with very bad stealth, a speed of 28 kilometers off-road and 65 kilometers on the road, and very low optics capability. In battle, the Hummel is essentially the middle finger of God. It can shell rather explosive shells over a far distance. This is fantastic with dealing with static emplacements, such as AA, AT guns, and even artillery pieces. When speaking of killing or counter-battering, I say artillery pieces, this is one of the few units that can successfully counter-battery a sexton and, you know, actually do some damage, as dealing with sextons and priests can be rather annoying. But the Hummel can deal with them, but there's also a lot I'd say is rather wrong with the Hummel. Yep, don't make it super useful, much more of a special niche unit. The first one really is the fire rate. And yes, this thing does do massive damage with good ARE, but when you're trying to suppress enemy units, a mortar half-track or Resp is usually a much better option, as they can just fire faster and eventually fill that suppression bar more quicker, and also, you know, change targets much more easily when the Hummel takes quite a while to reload. Also, you do need to end up getting a supply truck for your Hummel. You can't just, you know, not have run, as you're gonna run out of ammo. Those 18 shots won't last you all too long, so make sure to get a supply truck. Not immediately, but, you know, after you've shot a little bit, it should be on your radar. And also, the Hummel's pretty expensive at 180 points. That is a huge investment for an artillery unit. And considering you could spend this on the Jagdpanzer, or Panzer IV, or a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers, it can be rather tough to justify spending 180 points on an artillery unit that's just going to sit back and lob shells. But overall, the Hummel is useful with dealing with static guns and just blowing soft targets up. Yep, don't move around a lot. For suppression or more general purpose, I wouldn't really recommend it. It's just much more useful in team games than I'd say a 1v1, as you're really looking for cheaper suppressing artillery units rather than big middle fingers that can lob shells from a far distance. And, well, I'm going to leave it off at that. This has been another Rouge unit of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as usual, please just take it easy.